Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishna Yishkalim, Parak Ches, Chapter 8, Mishna Dala, Mishna 4. Okay. Paroiches, a curtain in the Beis HaMikdash, whether it be the curtain that separates the Kodesh HaKadosh from the Holy of Holies, from the Heichal, from the rest of the Beis HaMikdash, whether it be the curtain, the separation that separates between the Heichal, between the, call it the building of the Beis HaMikdash, and the Chatzar, and the courtyard. Shenit meis b'vlad hatuma, that became impure from a vlad hatuma. An av hatuma is something that is, we call that a source, an original source of tuma, something that became, we call it itself a source of tuma, like a dead sheretz, like a person who's a zav. And when they come into contact, which we sometimes call a rishon or a vlad hatuma, the product of the tuma. The avatuma is the primary source of the impurity, while the vlad hatuma is what became tamei from it. Now, the typical rule is that an avatuma can make anything it comes into contact with impure, while a vlad hatuma can only convey tuma to food or beverages, but not to people or utensils. That's the general rule. The general rule is a vlad hatuma, the product of the original source of tuma, can only make food or drink tamei, not people or vessels. However, there is an exception. The Chachamim instituted that if you have a beverage, that you have a liquid, and the liquid is a vlad hatuma, it became tamei from a source of tuma, that midrabanan, according to rabbinic law, it can make utensils tamei. The special takana drabanan that it can make people or utensils tamei. Wait a minute. Yeah. A beverage that became tamei can actually make a person or utensil tamei, like an avatuma. This law was made because there are liquids that actually have the power of an avatuma. Those are the secretions of a zav or a zava or yeledis. The person who's a zav, all these people who are tamei in this sense, their secretions are considered an avatuma. So in order not to confuse that with other things, in order to think, well, the same way typically the beverages can't make, according to Torah law, they can't make people or utensils tamei. People might think that these secretions from the zav or the zava also can't do that. The Chachamim instituted that actually all beverages that are of vlad hatuma, we say that they can make people and utensils tamei. Now, that's the case of the Mishnah here. This paroiches, it's really a utensil. It's not a food or a beverage. It's a thing. According to Torah law, it should not become tamei from a vlad hatuma. It shouldn't become tamei from the vlad hatuma. Nonetheless, the Rabbanan said it does. So now it's tamei mid Rabbanan. Now that it's tamei, what do you got to do with it? You're supposed to be using it in the Beis HaMikdash, but it's tamei. What do you got to do with it? You got to take it to a mikveh. Now, matbilan oisa bifnim. You can taivel it within the Beis HaMikdash. There was a mikveh in the Beis HaMikdash itself, above what was called the lishkas haparva, the parva chamber. There was a mikveh in the chutz, in the temple courtyard itself. So that is where you can taivel it. And once you taivel it, you can bring it right back in, hang it up where it's supposed to be, drip dry it as you use it. But the point is that you can just take it to the mikveh inside the Beis HaMikdash, and then once you've tabled it, put it back up where it was before. Now, v'shenit misba avatuma. But let's say the curtain became tamei from an avatuma. A dead sheret, somehow or another touched the curtain, which means now it's tamei midaraisa, because an avatuma touched it. Now it's tamei midaraisa. If it's tamei midaraisa, according to Torah law, it's tamei. You have to be taivel outside of the Beis HaMikdash, because the rule is that if a person or utensil that became tamei according to Torah law are in the Beis HaMikdash, the halacha is they have to get out. They have to be removed. You can't leave them there. So therefore, in the case where the paroiches is tamei midaraisa, it's impure according to Torah law because it came into contact with an avatum, the primary source. So you got to take it out of the Beis HaMikdash. You got to take it out of the courtyard. Outside the courtyard, you have to taivel it. The sheitchen oisa b'chel, and then you spread it out to dry in the chel. The reason you're spreading it out to dry here is because after you take it, if it became tamei according to Torah law, not only you have to take it out and be it outside of the Beis Hamikdash, you cannot bring it in until after sunset. You need Harav Shemesh. You need for the sun to set, and then you can bring it in. So in the meantime, what are you going to do with it? You're going to let it dry. Where is it going to dry? In what's called the chel. Now they explain like this. The chel was an area that was outside of the chutzner. You had the chutzner of the Beis Hamikdash. You actually then had the Ezras Nashim, the women's section, and then you had the chel. The chel was an area that was actually cordoned off from the rest of the Har HaBayis, the Temple Mount. Now, if you're a tamei, you cannot be in the chel. You can be in the Har HaBayis, but you cannot be, starting from the chel, you cannot be there. Once you go to the mikveh, though, even if you're waiting for the next day, for the night to come in order to be pure, you can then be in the chel. You can't go into the courtyard, but you can be in the chel. So therefore, this curtain, this pareiches, that we were toivel, and it has to wait for Harav Shemesh, has to wait for nightfall to be able to go back in. It will now be even after it's gone to the mikveh, it cannot be in the Beis Hamikdash. It's got to wait. So what area is it going to be in? It's going to be in the chil. Let me start getting this right. Right. Okay, I got it right. They can be on the Har HaBayis before their tummy. They can be on the Har HaBayis, but starting from the chil and inwards, they cannot be. Once they go to the mikveh and they're waiting for nightfall, then they could be in the chil. So too, this pareiches, this curtain that's waiting for nightfall, can be drying in the chil. Now let's say it was new. It was brand new. Then they would spread it to dry on the roof overhanging the benches. They explain here, there were several rows of stone benches on the Temple Mount for people to sit on. And these were covered by an overhanging roof that provided shade and protection from rain. So if it's a new pareiches and we're drying it out, you dry it on top of those overhangs, over those coverings. Projections. No, just what do they use? Overhang, right? Overhanging roof. You'd spread it out over those overhanging roofs. Why? So that the people should be able to see how beautiful how beautiful this thing was. Meaning on this area, again, this was outside of the chil, but it was a high area. If they would spread it out there, people all around could be able to see it. And we want the people, if it was brand new, we wanted the people to see how beautiful it was. And why was it so important for it to see how beautiful it was? So they bring down here in the notes, this was in order to encourage people to donate fine materials for the temple curtains. They saw how beautiful it was. That would motivate them to go ahead and donate the fine materials needed for making or repairing maybe, or that are needed for the temple, for these curtains, for the pareiches. The last thing I'm going to mention here is in the notes, is that this whole discussion revolved around the pareiches. It's not just this whole discussion doesn't only apply to a pareiches. It applies to any utensil in the Beis Hamikdash. The reason that the Mishna spoke about the pareiches is for this last part, to teach about how if it was brand new, it needed to if it was dry, if it couldn't be brought in yet, it was brand new, that they let it dry over these overhanging roofs in order for people to see them. Have a wonderful day.